Hey, what's up everyone? Brad Chmielewski here. So this is not a full episode of Shatter The Vain. This is one of those mini-sodes. On these mini-sodes, I grab either a specific topic or a specific person, and we kind of go over something. In this case, got ttigers joining me. We're going over his recent article that he put out about the 5v5 3.0 meta over on Medium. There's a link in the show notes. Or not show notes, the description here. There's no show notes because we're just talking about this article. But we go into some more of the depth there, some of his thoughts and opinions that maybe you didn't see or read about in this article and you just had some more thoughts on it. I asked him about this weapon power Baptiste because I want to know more about this and how I can take advantage of it. There are a little bit of audio issues on his end. I wasn't sure if it was my recording or coming from his end, so hopefully I cleaned that up the best I could. Sorry if it's a little hard to hear, but hopefully it's not too bad. You can still hear everything on both ends. But yeah, so definitely, hopefully you enjoy this. I hope to do more of these mini-sodes. I know I was trying to do them every couple weeks or so hopefully you like them. Be sure to leave a comment, or if you wanted to see or hear from somebody else that maybe doesn't have time to do a full episode of Shatter The Vain and run down all the news and everything, and just kind of want to hear like one thought on like an article or what it takes to be a captain player or how to carry, things like that. Love to just leave a comment, let me know, and hopefully we can grab that person as well. All right, let's get into this little conversation.
Shatter the Vain.
Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another Shatter the Vain mini-sode. And on this episode, I got ttigers joining me to talk about his recent article he put up on the Vainglory 3.0 5v5 meta. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, this is great. Do you want to give a little introduction of who you are if for whatever reason someone hasn't seen you playing or hasn't seen you around in the Vainglory community over the last years? But I guess a little small introduction would be great.
Okay, of course. So I'm the jungler for Tribe Gaming, and recently last year we won the World Championship for Vainglory, which was pretty hype. So
yeah, congratulations there. So I think you know a thing or two about how to play Vainglory then.
I hope so, at least. I hope so.
Cool. So yeah, you put up this article on Medium. I know you said you're hopefully going to have more coming, correct?
I'm thinking about writing more. It's just whenever I have time or I have new inspirations.
Nice. So I guess before we dive into this, how are you liking the switch from 3v3 to 5v5?
Well, it's different, but 5v5 is definitely better. It's more fun, it's more exciting, and it's like the more players, the better, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much more things to do, and it's like 5v5 team fights are honestly, I don't know how to describe them, but it's just like everybody just is in there just fighting each other, and it's kind of crazy, and it's just so they're like so fun.
Yeah.
When you can actually like legitimate 5v5 team fights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with a coordinated team. I'm sure like I'm mostly playing like a lot of solo queue or just goofing off, but you and Tribe and other people are probably planning a lot more and trying things, getting ready for preseason and whatnot.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the thing with the 5v5 casual queue. It's casual, right? So it's not like super serious. And I think when maybe rain comes out, it'll be like more fun and maybe help promote 5v5 more overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, how I treat it and how I try to tell people. Like, it is just a casual queue right now. You should have fun, figure out the meta, and try things maybe you wouldn't do in rank too, because it's different. Like the queue system is totally different too. So you're not losing or gaining anything playing against someone who's brand new or someone like yourself who's been playing for years.
Pretty much.
Cool. So then, yeah, I think the meta is one of these things that a lot of people are just always like questioning and trying to figure out because it's we haven't had any pro games to watch, and that usually influences the meta so much in any esports. So I think you putting out this article is awesome. So yeah, let's dive into it a little bit. I guess the first bit, what I guess maybe we'll dive into some little pieces of it, but what are you seeing in the 5v5 meta currently?
So currently, it's kind of changed, or I kind of have new opinions over the past, I don't know how many days since I read it, but it's more or less the same. I think it's starting to become more defined as a CP carry top lane,
Mm-hmm.
and either like it's situational based on what you want in bot lane. It's depending on maybe draft or what your team wants to play as a team comp.
Okay.
So it's starting to become more defined that way. But besides that, everything's pretty similar. And also teams are experimenting more in the early game, just testing invades, testing their limits with, unique camps. Like sometimes you can just place camps in places where people don't expect, which is really good for the early game and tracking the jungle.
Did you play any League of Legends or other MOBAs that were 5v5 beforehand?
I did play League years ago though, like 4 years ago, but that's a long time ago.
Okay, so you don't have as much like I played it I guess recently, and a lot of people kind of sometimes look to these other MOBAs to influence this. So I think it's good that you're coming at it from a angle that's like thinking more Vainglory versus League. Like you have to have a tanky top laner and you have to have two people in the bottom lane, but I think that's something you also have to realize. Vainglory is not League. So
That's true. It's completely different. I think it's also hero balancing. It's in Vainglory, it's so easy for range here to stack Dragon Jai or BP and just do a lot of damage as team fights progress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think League has a stacking item like that, which it makes a big difference in team fights.
Yeah, definitely. So it's kind of like you said that the top and bottom CP carry and whatnot. I think I'd love to dive more into each role and each lane a little bit. Maybe first the jungle role, because this is one of those roles that maybe doesn't feel as defined in 5v5 as it did in 3v3, because there's two sides of it, and it doesn't seem like the experience and levels and gold is there like it was in 3v3. But so what are you seeing in 5v5 jungle role at the moment?
So what I feel about the jungler right now is, more like a supportive hero that just applies pressure early game and ganks for his teammates. It's because jungle camps take a while to spawn too.
Yeah.
And because your teammates clear it as well, it's just really hard to get farmed sometimes. So basically, when I play jungle, I like to, just place scout camps where I can track the opposing jungler and just like walk between lanes to apply pressure and gain players.
Mm-hmm. So then as you go into the later game, you're this more supporty, tanky hero, right?
Usually, yeah, it's transitioned to more utility based, but sometimes you can just. So what I think about the jungler, you should early game just build pure damage.
Okay.
You'll be ganking, and people, if you gank and you get the damage off, and they die, like you don't need defense. But like you said, late game, mid game, late game, just transition to more tanky utility for your team. And usually, on some heroes, you can change builds too. Like with Grumjaw more recently. In 3v3, I would never build Echo on Grumjaw since it's just kind of a waste of gold.
Right.
In 5v5, I think Echo has its own merit on Grumjaw, just as a pure utility, since Grumjaw doesn't really do damage late game.
Okay.
And you can just build tank, build Echo, and just make that transition from damage to utility in that way.
That makes sense. Okay. I saw in the article you mentioned Weapon Baptiste, and I think a lot of people saw that, and I've even had a few people comment like asking for gameplay videos on Weapon Baptiste. So I need to how and why is Weapon Baptiste working in the jungle role right now?
So Weapon Baptiste is pretty strong since if you put attack speed on, I'm pretty sure they buffed him in 3.0 too, right? Or sometime giving him his weapon power ratio when he gets 4 stacks or whatever.
Yeah,
it's so. Like 0.3 instead of 0.25. But in any case, it's because if you build attack speed on what power Baptiste, like you first build BP, then build Chip,
Mm-hmm.
you can easily get 4 auto attacks, and during each auto attack you heal, right? You heal 4 auto attacks, then you get your empowered, and you just have that bonus damage, and you can just start stacking BP pretty quickly with those attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And additionally, Ordain is a pretty strong ganking tool since early game no one has a reflex, and it's pretty much a guaranteed gank, or not like a guaranteed kill or anything, but you force stun and force damage onto the opposing carry.
Right. But it's one of those, like, it also is very strong in that early mid game, but does it carry into the late game very well? I guess the Ordain helps throughout the game.
So yeah, that's part of it because Baptiste Fear is AOE. It's pretty useful for late game utility as well. And Baptiste with weapon power, you can just transition into build BP, build chip. If you build a third item, often if you're ahead, but you can just transition to build an Aegis, build a metal jacket, and just tank for your team again because you have frontline. You can do a lot of damage and you heal with your auto attack, so it's a pretty good frontliner as well.
Nice. And then so you have your jungler kind of building that utility later in the game, and then you have your hyper carry is usually in this mid lane, right? You kind of mentioned usually your CP, your Crystal Power hero.
Yeah, Crystal Power heroes is just really strong because most Crystal Power heroes are all AOE heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Varya, Celeste, Scarf, etc. And in 5v5 team fights, they'll just be dishing out a ton of damage. And Crystal Buff Crystal Buff and Weapon Power Buff are like essential for late game team fights. Your opponent carry has one and yours don't. It's honestly such a big difference. Since just consider the percentage of how much power it gives you. Like I think 20% on both CP and weapon power, which is pretty insane. Like late game with four offensive items, that's a huge boost in damage. Like I think more than infusion maybe.
Oh, so yeah. So then if you stack that with an infusion, you're pretty deadly.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just crazy how much. Like even when you go super tanky, you just get melted, which is why you just have most team fights are kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, back to the CP heroes. Yeah, they're pretty much your main carries. That's why I think we're starting to see more CP top laners as part of the meta.
Okay.
Because late game, two CP laners will do insane amount of damage. And probably if your opponent's team doesn't have one, you probably will win the team fight depending on how it goes.
Yeah, I guess that
makes. You have a higher chance.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because you said like those heroes that you get late game, 4 items, buffs, fusions, those tanks just get melted. Like I've noticed, I've played with tanks a few times, and you are not tanky. Like you can't stand there and like just frontline all this damage like you might in another MOBA or something like that. Like these carries just destroy you.
No, that's pretty much true. It's a lot harder to play heroes like Crow and Glaive late game since you can't really frontline anymore. You can maybe take a couple hits and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 2 additional players, you just explode if you're taking too much on the front line.
Right. So is usually that their tank going to still be your support rather than wasting maybe I don't want to say wasting, but rather than throwing a support or a tanky hero in the top lane, you probably want to see that more in the captain role.
So yeah, the captain usually has to be tanky. I think most people have just been playing Arden and Grace, like I mentioned in the article, because Grace Shields, Arden Gauntlet, they're super game changing in a team fight.
Mm-hmm.
And additionally, I honestly think Finn has his own merit too, since he's extremely tanky and he can frontline better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like if you have a Finn just boosting into your team and you have maybe 2 CP carries behind the Finn, and the Finn just makes so much space for the carries. It's actually a really viable comp as well.
Nice. So then that support or that captain role, you're almost playing the same role that you would have in 3v3, just trying to keep your friends and your allies alive, right? You don't necessarily have to think about the game that much differently than you were from one mode to the other, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much the thing, but like you can vary your builds too. Since Fountain, it's okay. It was essential in 3v3, but in 5v5, it's still obviously really good. But it doesn't always have to be a first by
Right.
in team fights or like early game. There's not a lot of team fights, right? So usually, if you're fountain like maybe one or two people, sometimes three, but like rarely all five players.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can just build, or you can just build, cooldown or something more utility based.
And
Maybe like you're playing. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, and like as I often play captain in solo queue. You're now having to watch 5 people, and getting those fountains are much harder than they were. That's
Yeah, that's true. If someone takes so much damage, like you don't really want to fountain him if all other players are really healthy.
yeah.
So it's fine.
So you would recommend maybe going to that scout cam as your first item on your captain?
Not necessarily. I don't. The scout cam's obviously really good, and it provides a lot of vision. But I think with good, honestly, in a coordinated 5v5 pro team, it should be like it shouldn't be, or okay. So what I'm trying to say is, you should kind of have a general idea of where the jungler is, and everybody should be aware. So it should be hard for the jungler to gank, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, yeah, because you were saying the buffs take so long to spawn. You're gonna know where they are, right? Like they won't have that much to do after the first like 2 minutes.
Yeah, so a lot of the times the jungler, you can just sit in a bush for like 20 seconds after you get the first clear. He's literally nothing spawning.
Right.
You just sit there and just keep on waiting for the opposing laner to overextend if you really want to. And you never know, the opposing jungler might be doing the same. So, and also the thing is, every laner has 2 cams, so it's honestly, side laners only need 1 cam really to be safe, and mid laner and supports usually have a mid so they can place their own cams. So Super Scout's good, but I think maybe at a higher level, it's not that useful as your first item.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
But what I'm trying to say, maybe you can just build like cooldown or etc. to maybe have your skills. Since I was playing with Gabe the other day, he didn't build Fountain for a while. He just went like, I forgot what he went, but it was like Crucible, Clockwork, and just, it was cooldown and just, not Fountain basically.
Right, and you're seeing a lot of those supports build a little bit of damage maybe early on because, like you said, people don't have those reflex blocks, and a lot of people, I'm sure, as you in coordinated teams, you start to have a little more defense and a little more game sense, so you're not going to get killed as easily. But solo queue, you could build a little damage early on and take someone down. As the captain.
I think that's fine, honestly. But Fountain first fight is probably still really good though. Like I would still recommend it, but I'm just saying there are other options as well currently.
Nice. So then, talking about that early game, you kind of had towards the end of this article this first rotation. You called this out as very important for everyone should know, and for your own sanity and theirs as well. But I'd love to dive into that a little bit more. Just like why? Sure. Yeah, why? What are your recommendations for this first rotation?
So I guess the basic point of the rotation is so your laners can get level 2 and you can just clear everything. And it's very symmetric, and you get XP, you get level 2, and there's nothing for the opposing jungler to invade or take to, which is a pretty big deal. Obviously, everybody, or I think basically everybody knows how it works at a pro level or in the private I play. So people have been experimenting, maybe they're just invade the healer by themselves, try to take it, disrupt it a little bit, or maybe 5-man invade a buff. But in general, it's pretty, it's still pretty relevant. And the other thing is, if people invade, it's like that map is mirrored. So let's say people invade your blue, there's 3 people invading your blue, you can just send 3 people to their blue and you just swap.
Right.
It's really strange. Like if they go to your top side jungle, you go to their top side jungle. They clear your top side jungle, you clear their like bottom jungle. So in the end, it's even if invades happen, sometimes you can just end up being symmetric anyway. So it's pretty funny.
Hmm. I love the invade because the first, I don't know what, 2 3 minutes of the game, it doesn't seem like it matters as much in 5v5. So I like just going for the invade just to see if you can disrupt that and kind of cause a little bit of that chaos to get people shaken up.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like supports, just sitting in a bush or waiting to steal camp. It's pretty annoying if you
Mhm.
don't expect it.
Uh, so then I guess if the jungle gets cleared right away, then you kind of have this two people in at least 2 lanes kind of helping push or set up those ganks to make I guess get that first blood, right? That's kind of the goal, and then hopefully snowball one of those lanes.
Yeah, that's pretty much the goal. So if people are pushing lanes directly, usually they're always level one pretty much, and usually both players will be level or they're both players will be level two though if they cleared. So usually that person just dies immediately if you just go to lane. But that's so people don't really do that. So it's the clear's mirrored, and then everybody heads to lane. There's like a huge downtime for the junglers because literally nothing's spawning. The
Right.
junglers is just like sitting around waiting for someone to overextend, and it's pretty funny how it goes, to be honest.
Nice. Okay. Well, I think that I would recommend everyone go and check out the full article. There's more of it in there. You recommend some team comps. One of them, one of your favorites here at the top was the Rona, Koshka, Celeste, Ringo, and Arden. Is that kind of one you're seeing the most, or the one you like?
To be honest, most of those comps, I just it just fits criteria. They're not necessarily the best comps
Okay.
or anything, but if I can, I think there's a pretty well defined like what are the best heroes in each position, or like the most viable, I guess, right
Yeah,
now because
you mentioned like Grace and Arden in the support role,
uh-huh.
and then Varia, Samuel, Celeste, CP Vox in the mid lane.
Yeah, so I was just listing options, but for mid lane, I think Samuel. It's a general consensus is the best mid laner, followed by Varia Celeste.
Oh wow, okay.
I think right now. CP Fox has its own merits too, but people aren't playing it as much for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, in jungle, people are leaning more towards weapon power junglers too, and it's
Mhm.
pretty interesting because the red buff is super strong, right?
Yeah.
So people will play weapon power junglers and take red buff, and it leads to like an interesting situation where people don't really gank top lane as much as bottom and mid lane since red buff is in bottom side, right? And the jungler takes it and he's just staying bot side too. So it's like another interesting aspect of how things, how junglers are moving around in the map.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, and then what about these top and bottoms? Are you kind of just do those vary quite a bit?
So they kind of vary. So bottom lane is probably the most diverse since you
Mhm.
can either go weapon power range carries or melee weapon power heroes. Either way. So the best one is right now is Gwen. Gwen is the best range hero because her damage, this initial front up burst is like ridiculous.
Mhm.
It blows people up, and if she gets ahead, like people just explode. She's like three shots people, which is honestly ridiculous. And that's the thing about 5v5 too, though. Is no one builds defense. Everybody just builds pure damage until
Right.
mid late game. So like if one lane gets ahead, it just explodes everybody else.
Mhm.
And for top lane, I think I said this earlier, but it's leaning more towards the CP carries, just for the sake of having two CP carries.
Mhm.
And honestly, one of the strongest right now is probably CP Lorelei.
Oh,
Like
really?
her,
Okay.
yeah, her damage is ridiculous. Even with just the alternating current and her barrier off her ult, just literally, it's like another full health barrier. It's literally like you just have to play it and see.
And everyone loves diving the turrets, so having that barrier really helps. Like, you may live from that dive.
No, oh yeah, that's true. You definitely live because the barrier is so huge. It's really insane how good the CP Lorelei is, and just her general utility again. Her slow is really annoying in team fights, and her stun it does a lot of damage if people sit in it too. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I haven't played her full carry yet, but I've played her as the cap or the support role a couple times and had most of the kills in the early game, just from those fish foods and things like that.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if people start experimenting with, like you said, playing Lorelei as support, but with maybe some damage in the beginning too, just to poke people.
Cool. Well, yeah, like I was saying, like I think it's a great article, and seeing this stuff from people like you and other videos that are coming out from some of the other pro players are just great. Especially gives people insight into just what they should be playing rather than running around the map just trying different things. So I love reading this, and I can't wait to keep an eye out for the next one. Do you have any thoughts on what you might be putting together, or still wait for that inspiration to strike?
It sounds like people are interested in, I kind of just listed heroes and my own opinion on the tier list, like I just kind of explained. So maybe that's like something people would be interested in.
Yeah, a 5v5 3.0 tier list would be great. I think that might help define some picks here right now before the preseason starts and everything. So that'd be great. I'll keep that. Well, ttigers, thanks for joining me and taking some time today to chat.
No, of course, it's my pleasure.
And yeah, everyone, there's a link in the notes in the description, so check out this article, and definitely go follow ttigers up on Twitter. He's usually sharing and talking about the game there as well. That'll do it for this minisode, and I'll be back hopefully with another one or a full episode of the podcast very soon. Take care.
Let's get this over with.